All right, we're back, and I apologize for the darkness of this video, but the lighting is just not working with me. So we're going to set this case here, and by the way, this is the drilled out case, and we're going to set this in the resizing portion. And what we're going to do is we're going to run that up, not all the way, just a little ways, and what we want is this press to move to the priming station. Now, here's the deal. We want this to prime perfectly, and what we have to do is make sure that everything is lined up. And this is kind of the finicky part. So I'm going to try my best here to give you guys a view of what it's going to look like. And should have done my homework first. That's not going to work. So here's the deal. In this shell case here, you're going to be able to see, if you look down through, which this is a factory crimp die with all the guts taken out of it. It's essentially is the same as this, but this has all of the guts taken out, and you can look down through this and see the primer, the whole primer pocket, the operation, the whole 9 yards. So what we have to do is make sure that when the ram comes up, which this is the ram piece right here, when that comes up, it seats perfectly inside this. If it does not, if this case is this, off to one side or the other side, we have to make an adjustment for that. Now, obviously, if it's pushed all the way up against the inside of this shell plate, it can't go any further this way, which is not usually the case. Normally, it has to be out a little ways toward this way. So one way we can do this is by adjusting this little arm right in here. I know it's hard to see. It looks much like this arm right here. So what I've done is I put a washer underneath this, of course, over here, not here. But I put a washer underneath this, and I have adjusted this to where when I run this priming ram, the ram itself centers perfect inside this case. And the other thing that you want to do is make sure that you have a factory crimp die with the guts taken out of it right here. What that does is it centers the case inside and allows the priming ram to perfectly center the primer in the case when the case is perfectly centered in the die. Without the die, the case can move back or forth either way, and what I've had is some misseated primers. And by the way, read the directions, because this press specifically says do not use Federal primers or Winchester primers, and they're right. I had 2 explosions on me, and I was lucky to not have the entire priming tray set off. I highly recommend the fire shield right here, because you have all these primers behind it, and as the primer system runs upward, if something happens when it seats the primer, this is completely protected from the body. So to me, that was a well worth investment, because if that would have not been there and this whole thing would have gone off when on the 2 times it went off on me, that could have been real bad news. So I would highly recommend the couple bucks that this thing costs to protect your life, and also make sure you have your eye protection on too. That's always a very, very important. But so we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to move on to some other stuff. But I think we're going to tackle the powder and bullet cedar factory crimp dye here, and we'll get back to you just here in a minute.